Hello, and today we continue structure and function of body systems. Today's lesson is lesson 2, gas exchange and breathing. So by the end of today's lesson, you should be able to describe the structure of the gas exchange system and how parts of it are adapted to their function. You should also be able to describe the process of inhaling and exhaling and how the use of a bell jar can be used to model this. And finally, you will hopefully be able to explain how to measure lung volume. Most of the time when we are breathing, it is controlled involuntarily so that we don't need to consciously think about breathing in and out all the time. When we breathe in, we take in oxygen and we give out carbon dioxide. This is called gas exchange. It takes place inside the lungs, part of the respiratory system, which is made up of elastic tissue that can expand when you breathe in, and this allows you to take in lots of oxygen. However, the lungs are delicate, so they are protected by a hard and strong bone that make up your rib cage. If you have a feel, put your hands, both hands on your chest, one above and one below, and when you breathe in and out, you can feel your rib cage increasing in size as you breathe in and decreasing and lowering as you breathe out. So if you have a look at this image below, air enters your body through your mouth and nose, and it moves down into the trachea, which is called your windpipe, and it's a large tube. From there, it moves down into your bronchus, which is a smaller tube. From there, it moves into a bronchiole, which is an even tinier tube, and finally, it moves into the alveolus. Okay, at this point in the alveolus, the oxygen then diffuses into the blood from the air that you have breathed in, and through the blood, an exchange of carbon dioxide, which has been attached to the blood, comes back out and you breathe it out through your lungs. So if you have a look at the images on this slide, you can see that on the left-hand side, you have an expanded image of the alveoli. And then if you look on your right-hand side, you can see an alveoli which is expanded even further. And from there, you can see that gas exchange occurring. You can see the oxygen, which is the white bubbles, being breathed in and diffusing across the thin membrane into the bloodstream. It attaches itself to the oxygen. And as you can see, the carbon dioxide is coming out from the bloodstream. It's diffusing back into the alveolar and then will be breathed out. Okay. And alveoli, there are millions of alveoli in your lungs, which are these tiny organs. They have a large surface area because there's so many of them. They have very thin walls that are only 1 cell thick, and there is a large network of capillaries, which are smaller veins surrounding the alveolus, which allows for a good blood supply. This means that gas exchange can occur very easily and very quickly. We need these adaptations in order for that gas exchange to occur so that we can use that oxygen for respiration in our bodies, in our cells. As mentioned in the previous slide, we breathe in to inhale oxygen. Oxygen is used for respiration, the process of respiration, to make energy from the food that we eat inside our cells. Respiration produces carbon dioxide as a waste product, which needs to be removed from our body. When we breathe out, we exhale to remove carbon dioxide. If you have a look at the image on the right-hand side, you can see the percentages of gases that are contained in air that we breathe in. And as you can see that the largest percent is nitrogen, which is 78%, but we don't need that inside our bodies, so we breathe that back out again. If you have a look, even with the oxygen, we're breathing in 20.96%. However, when we exhale, 16% of the air breathed out contains oxygen. So our body takes in as much as it can and as much as it needs to help us with our respiration processes. If we were to take on some exercise and start breathing heavier the reason why we breathe in more deeply is to increase the amount of oxygen that's coming into our bodies in order to allow respiration to occur, okay, to make this energy that our body requires for movement. So we can't really see when we're breathing in and out. You look at your chest, you can't really see what's going on inside. All you can see is that your chest is inflating, it's moving out and up, and when you exhale, it falls back down and in. So we use a model of a bell jar to show you how the breathing inside your lungs occurs. Okay, and this is a bell jar model. So if we have a look at the instructions to the right hand side of the slide for the bell jar model, we are looking at inhaling, and we can see that the rubber sheet, when it's pulled down, as you can see in the video, causes an increase of volume inside of the jar. This in turn causes the pressure inside the jar to decrease, and the air rushes into the jar, and the balloons, which represent the lungs, inflate. And if you have a look at the information on the left hand side, looking at the video, you can see that your muscles between your ribs would contract, and that would pull your rib cage up and out as you inhale. The diaphragm, which represents the rubber sheet across the bottom which is being pulled, contracts and it moves downwards. The volume inside the chest increases and the pressure inside your chest decreases, and this draws air into your lungs. So when we exhale or when we breathe out, the rubber sheet, which represents your diaphragm, is pushed up. The volume inside the jar decreases, however the pressure inside the jar increases. This makes the air rush out of the balloons and out of the jar, and the balloons deflate. If we have a look at the information on the left hand side regarding your lungs, when you exhale, the muscles between your ribs relax and they pull your rib cage down and in. The diaphragm becomes relaxed and it moves up. The volume inside your chest decreases and the pressure inside your chest increases, and this pushes your air out of your lungs. If we wanted to measure the lung volume, we could do this simply by setting up a practical inside the lab, or even at home. You could try this by using a plastic bottle, a plastic tube, and a large container or tank which is filled with water. Now you would fill up the plastic bottle with water, and then you would carefully place it inside the tank of water upside down with a plastic tube attached to it. The tube that's not inside the water is then used for you to breathe into. Okay, so if you take a few normal breaths and then on an exhale, when you breathe out, you breathe into the tube. As you breathe in, that will remove the water from the bottle as it fills up with the air from your lungs. Okay, once that full breathing out or the full exhalation has occurred, you can then pop your finger over the bottom of the bottle to stop it from releasing, and you could take it out, sit it up, and measure the amount of air that it has caught or the amount of water that has come out of the bottle, and that is equal to how much air your lungs can hold.